who is in charge of the police in the UK? Well, there's no definitive answer to this, really. It depends, so let's run through the answers. You could argue it's the chief constables, or in the case of the Met, the commissioner. Nearly forgot there for a second, because they are the people at the tops of each of the police organisations, and they make they are the most important organisational decision makers. In order to get that, you need to understand that the UK police is not one organisation. There is a different organisation for every county, and then there is the Metropolitan Police, which covers London and therefore scoops up little bits of the counties that make up London, and then you've also got the City of London Police, which just cover the square mile in the middle. Another possible answer is that it's the police and crime commissioners. Those guys have been around for a while now. Off the top of my head, I'm going to guess 10 years or so. That's probably wildly incorrect. And they are democratically elected officials who oversee, in I think a sort of fairly hands-off way, but nevertheless oversee the spending within police forces and kind of the general organisational direction. There's probably a fairly weak argument that they are in charge of the police, but they kind of are in a way. Realistically, the next answer is going to be probably the most sensible one, which is that it's the Home Office, which is the department of government who handle, well, a whole bunch of stuff, but they include in their remit dealing with the police, and so they set an awful lot of the most important aspects of policing, not least of which is the budget for all of those police forces. But they also they're the conduit through which the government's political will is channeled through to the various people who are in charge of the individual police forces, and also the kind of subcommittees that set directions for specific aspects of the police forces. Sorry, that was a bit of a mouthful, but you get what I'm saying. The Home Office is the government who set the tone for the police. But my final answer, which in a fundamental sense is kind of the most important one, is that because the Home Office is part of the government, and the government are democratically elected, and they're elected by the people who live in this country, you could very much argue that the people that are in charge of the police are us lot. And that is absolutely true, albeit in a fairly indirect way. The police are, and certainly can be, a very powerful group of people. In some countries, at certain times, in certain situations in some countries, they've been very powerful, and often to negative ends. So it's always important to remember that the police do work for us. They are paid by people who we voted in, and if anything ever started going south, we would be in a position to put a stop to it by exercising our democratic rights.